to understand it and then why they feel the way they feel and their body sensations. And so I'm thankful that you guys came here today to listen to her. She's amazing. So big round of applause for
Christina, thank you. So I know this is kind of late and it's Tuesday night. That's like my most unfavorite day of the week. I don't know, Tuesdays are just lumpy. Yeah, we're not at hump day yet. But I'm bringing tonight my mom hat too, my parent hat, along with my educator hat. I am a mom of 3 grown children now, young adults. And I am a new grandma for the first time. That was in April when I was supposed to do a parent night, and I panicked because of all the damn snow you had here. I'm like, is there a sign by that Mexican restaurant that says North Pole or something? And I thought, oh God, I'm never gonna get out of Afton. So, but I'm just so happy to be with all of you tonight. And this is just a quick overview. I'll leave time for questions at the end. I don't want to overwhelm your nervous system. But today I was with 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. And so I'm a former special ed teacher. I'm a former school counselor. Excuse me. I've been talking a lot today. And I also worked at the Methodist Hospital Adolescent Psychiatric Unit in Indianapolis when children and youth were hospitalized for some anxiety and just some depression. I worked with the schools to kind of mitigate the stress of coming back to school. So tonight, I just want to share with you, this is an overview of this framework. It's called Applied Educational Neuroscience. And I can tell you, I am a different mom today, and I certainly get a do-over with Miles, my grandson. Because if I had known what I know today, I would have parented differently. My husband agrees. And I'll share the research, and then I want you to leave with some practices that you can implement in your homes, and also just to partner with the schools, because you are your child's advocate. Nobody knows your child or loves your child like you do, and through it all, right? So this is really, I just so honored that I get to speak to parents tonight. These are the 4 beautiful pillars that support this work. And I'm gonna say some things that might feel, what's the word? They might feel strange to your nervous system, because none of us were really taught that behavior management is about us and not about our kids. And this is really interesting because, and I want you to think about this, I have escalated my own 3 children more times than I would ever like to admit to any of you. I have jumped into the power struggle. I've jumped into that conflict with them, not meaning to. And what happened was I was so dysregulated myself that I made the situation worse. And I've done that as a mom, and I've done that as a teacher. And I call myself a recovering punisher because I never really got a sustainable behavioral change, because I was back at it again the next day or the next week or the next month. It was really very punitive in how I disciplined my own children. So we'll talk about that tonight. Co-regulation is really at the heart of how we discipline. It's sharing. So when I say this, I wish that I had shared my safe, emotionally available nervous system with my children before I consequenced them. Because I'm not negating consequences. But when I'm dysregulated, then everybody around me amps up. And we're all yelling or threatening or nagging or lecturing, and it just backfires. So the 3rd pillar are touch points, and I'll talk about that tonight. They matter to our children. And then the coolest one, you can see the leaves are changing on the trees here. This is really teaching our kids as they learn with you. I have so many kids that love to come home from school and teach their parents what they're learning about their nervous system. And they love the language. I don't want to dummy it down for them. Like my 5-year-olds know what the amygdala is. Our 10-year-olds can talk about their nervous system, and they can start talking about what they need. And you don't have to know it. They love to teach you. And that's a touch point when you can join up with your children. So this is my family. We had a wedding 2 weeks ago, and my youngest daughter in all the flowers, Reagan, married Alexis. They live in the state of Hidalgo in Actopan, Mexico. She left, went to school in Chicago, and never came home. She fell in love. She went on a Fulbright scholarship and to teach Spanish. She's bilingual, and she taught Spanish in Hidalgo, and she taught English to Spanish-speaking undergrad students, and she fell in love. And so we have merged our cultures. Alexis has never been to the United States. He doesn't speak English. I don't speak Spanish, so we are constantly learning from each other. And this is our new sweet baby. This is Miles. On the end, this is our oldest son, Andrew, my husband, Michael, my middle daughter in the maroon, Sarah, and her husband, who is an A-10 pilot in the Air Force, and they are getting ready to move to Phoenix. So I come to you tonight from lived, embodied experiences. I am also teaching in Lawrence Township in Indianapolis. And Lawrence Township has about 16,000 students, and I am in a middle school right now of 1,195 7th and 8th graders. So 2 days a week, I am in Hallway B. I'm on the Voyager team, and I'm working with 7th grade. So it was really interesting today for me. Where was I today? Osmond, to see the similarities of 6th grade. If you are the parent or caregiver of a 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grader into high school, how many of you have 4th through 12? This is not an easy time. I mean, this is not easy. And they are going through the second greatest time of brain development. So they're pruning away what they are no longer needing or using, and they are building connections based on what they are experiencing. And I told them today, I said, how many of you have a goal in 5 years? Oh, I want to play professional soccer, I want to play football, or I want to own my own business. And I'm like, okay, what are you doing after school every day? This is really easy. What are you doing? Oh, I go home and sleep, or I play video games. I'm like, well, that's what your brain gets good at. That's what you get good at. Wherever you place your attention and whatever you practice, that gets stronger. So if you're really good at complaining, this is true for all of us. How many of us are worriers in this room tonight? I am a big worrier. And the reason that I worry is so well is because why? I do it all the time. So it's something that I'm aware of and I'm really trying to work on. But my classroom is my lab. I teach at Butler University in Indianapolis. I just got out of class about 15 minutes ago. We are virtual, so I didn't fly back to Indy. But we are asynchronous virtual, and they're learning what I'm talking about tonight. And these are teachers, occupational therapists. We have parents, pediatricians. We have a variety of professions in my new cohort. Oh, I forgot. These two women are rock stars. They are my co-teachers. Crystal Williams I have been teaching with her in 7th grade. This is year 2. And Lori Kirkland is a 3rd grade teacher at Harrison Hill. And she opened her classroom and her heart up to me so that I could co-teach with her and to learn about 3rd and 4th grade. So my lab is not at Butler, my lab is the classroom. So I want to begin tonight by telling you all something that I did not know as a mom, I did not know as a teacher, and that is that our body is our social and emotional organ. And you know this because when you are upset or dysregulated, where do you experience it first? Headache, tension and tightness, hard to take a deep breath. We get sweaty, We have belly issues, digestive issues. We get migraines. Our body holds trauma in our lives. And all of us in here have experienced adversity and trauma. You cannot live on this earth without experiencing hardship. You know, it's just a part of life. But it wears and tears on the developing brain and body of our children. And now we know this, so there are ways that we can help our children resource themselves. So I'm going to share with you tonight that the brain develops from the very back, brain stem to the cortex. And our brain stem is where you already know, it's where your heart beats without you telling it. It's where your blood pressure rises and lowers without you telling your blood pressure to do that. It's all of our autonomic functions. But it's also the seat of survival. This is where we feel safe. And if any of us, are in an environment where we don't feel safe, we don't parent well, we don't learn well, we don't live life very well, right? And then, if you make 2 almond-shaped circles and put them right above your ears, deep, you can do that, deep in the temporal lobe of the brain is our amygdala. Who's heard of an amygdala? Who's heard of an amygdala? That is that sweet baby back there. I'm not going to be able to keep my eyes. The amygdala is your brain's smoke detector, and it alarms you when something feels off to you. How many of you have just been having an ordinary day and a person walks by and the look on their face bothers you? Or a piece of clothing that they're wearing just kind of triggers you? Or there's a sound that you hear? Or there is something that you see that just kind of activates your nervous system? That amygdala fires and our body goes into what we call a survival state. And when our kids are driving us nuts, when we are struggling with our own children, we can oftentimes get triggered and we go into survival. Nobody could trigger me more than Andrew Hugh Desautels, my oldest. And his adolescent years, I thought I would never survive them. I literally cannot believe I'm even standing upright and talking to you. And he's 30 years old today. So I'm telling you, there's hope. But what we know is that this area of the brain is all about connection. It's all about a sense of belonging. And then the newest part of the brain, right here behind your eyebrows, your forehead, is called the prefrontal cortex. And this is where we want our kids to be. This is where we need to be. When we're disciplining as parents, caregivers, when we are interacting with the world, it's much harder for us to problem solve, to emotionally regulate, to have good, strong working memory, and to pay attention if we are functioning from the amygdala or the brainstem. When we are in survival, guess what happens? Everybody around us, we're contagious, goes into survival. Have you ever, you know that when someone in your family is struggling, you can all feel it, right? I mean, we all feel the tension. We all feel the tightness. We all feel the dysregulation. So our goal is to really help our children and ourselves to access the cortex. I said that all day today at Osmond. Get to the cortex, get to the cortex, get to the, I told teachers, get to the cortex. Because if we are not helping our kids get here, they don't learn well. And they struggle with behavior. Oh, these are actually circuits in the brain for safety and connection. These aren't things I'm just talking about. You have a circuit for safety and a circuit for connection. And so when those circuits are not working well, then we don't live well, we don't parent well. So I'm going to share the best news with you right now. It is enough tonight when you leave me to be aware of your nervous system. If you can, starting this evening, be aware of when you feel rough. That's what we say at our house. When you're rough, when you have no business saying anything to anybody because anything that comes out of your mouth is going to be negative, or when you feel overwhelmed, it's enough because awareness starts that process of helping you to find the things that feel good to your nervous system. So let's go through some of these anchors right now. How many of you feel better when you listen to music? Do I have any music lovers in here? That's a wonderful resource. How many of you need to exercise? Like you need to move your body, not go to the gym, but you have to take a walk. How many of you love to be outdoors? Like that is calming to your nervous system. How many of you love rhythm? Like maybe it's driving in your car or again, taking a walk. How many of us want to wrap up in a blanket and shut out the world? You just want to cocoon yourself. Yep, that's a good thing. How many of you can just chill with one of your favorite Netflix or YouTube or a show that you love? And that's a good thing. I want to say tonight that you need to begin to resource yourself. A hand massage. Literally, and I'm going to show you 3 deep breaths changes your biology. 3 deep breaths when you're intentional about it. A 5-minute walk is a game changer in your life. Like it doesn't have to be going to the gym to work out. 5 minutes. So I'm going to skip some slides because I have enough here to share with you for a day. So it's not that they're not important, but I kind of want to share with you. I want to explain that trauma lives on a continuum. And it's in trauma we all have in our lives, but it's personal. What stresses me to the max, somebody else may not blink an eye. What I worry about, somebody else may not ever, may not ever think about it. Trauma is when the nervous system is overwhelmed. It's when your nervous system is overwhelmed, and it's when information in the world is coming in too much, too fast, too soon. And when you're parenting in that state, nothing good happens. And we all know that. When you're overwhelmed and you're trying to parent and not caring for yourself, literally your kids pick up on that because human beings and emotions are contagious. Even that sweet baby back there, literally at 6 months old? 11 months old? I'm horrible at that. Yeah. Our children in the womb pick up the energy of our nervous systems. And and here's the thing, the human being was built to wobble. It wasn't built to break. And so it's normal to rupture with children. I don't want you to leave tonight thinking, oh my God, what have I done to my kids? It's not that. It's normal to rupture, but we've got to repair. It's normal to rupture and repair. Many children don't have the embodied experiences of repairing. And for whatever reason, sometimes we as adults think that, I've got to have this power of control or I'm going to lose. This child of mine is not going to learn. But it's not about power and control. Our kids are watching us. Let me say this to all of you tonight. We are non-verbal creatures. The greatest gift that you can give your own children is to check in with your own nervous system. That's the greatest gift you can give your kids, is to listen to your tone. Your tone of voice says everything. It's to watch your face, your eyes. Kids read us non-verbally. They're not listening to your words. They're picking up on your face. They're picking up on your tone, the way that you walk and posture. And they're picking up on just literally every nonverbal cue that you're putting out there. So I don't mean that to say that we're not robots. We're not perfect. My girls will say to me, Mom, your voice is high. I'm like, no, it isn't. Nope, you're going up. And I'm like, I'm fine. And I'm not fine. I'm pissed. And so it's really important to check in with our own nervous systems. This is really interesting too. Our body holds on to what the mind forgets. And I want you to be aware that there's a book that a very well-known trauma specialist wrote called The Body Keeps the Score. And if you grew up in certain conditions, if you lived in poverty, if you were physically abused, sexually abused, and these are adversities that have been well researched. You, like all of us, if we grew up with social rejection or humiliation, if we grew up and we were living with someone in our home that was experiencing substance use, addiction, alcoholism, or if someone that we love that's living with us was incarcerated, those are what well-researched, they're called adverse childhood experiences. And they get under the skin and they can change the way our DNA functions. Now, here's the best news. You're not your ACE score. You're not your adverse childhood experiences. You're not that. Being aware of what you've gone through and knowing that those adversities can lay dormant in your body for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and all of a sudden you wake up at 40 or 50 and you have autoimmune disorders, or you've got heart disease. Our biology is impacted by the adversities in our lives. And that's why I'm so grateful to Lincoln Schools for creating this night for all of you, because you begin to heal when you are aware of this knowledge. You literally reset the clock. Yes. We have that book and your books and other ones up. Oh, they're. Yeah, so thank you. So, the body keeps the score. I've written Connections Over Compliance. There's so many resources for us to start again and to sit beside our children. So this is just kind of a nice way of what I just described. The brain, your survival, the brainstem is all about safety. So kids will lie to you because out of fear. Kids will lie because they don't feel it's safe enough to tell you the truth. I'm not excusing their behavior. Please understand that. But we've got to get under our child's behavior and we've got to get out in front of our kids' behavior. So lying is a defense mechanism. Lying, you know what lying says? In a youth or child's mind, if a child is continually lying, what they're reasoning in their mind is, if I don't lie, the worst thing that ever has happened to me will happen again. So a lie protects me. And there's, all kinds of, but again, we want to teach the behaviors that we want to see. Because when we're only punishing, sometimes we're reinforcing rage. We're reinforcing our dysregulation. And I did that as a mom. I'm telling you, I'm coming to you from, generations of mistakes. The emotional brain is here, the limbic system where the amygdala is. So every child is asking their teachers, they're asking in their families, am I safe in this environment? Am I loved? And now what can I learn from this? When I get to the cortex, then I can reason. Then I can problem solve. Then I can pause before I do something I'll regret. And can I just say right now, the world is angry. Wouldn't you agree? I travel the world, and I don't care if I'm at the supermarket or the gas station or at a family PTO meeting. People are edgy. People drive edgy right now. People drive angrily. And our world we all are experiencing that. And what does that mean for our children? Our children experience that too because they're watching the adults around them. So it's really important to have those conversations with our children. That, people are grumpy, they're angry, they're arguing. We have a divisive country like I've never seen. And so it's really important to validate. Just to say, that just probably felt awful today. Or what we just experienced really hurt. Because validating how your child feels is healing to them. It's healing. You don't have to agree with the behavior. And you can still provide consequences. But validating how they feel brings them to the cortex. Does that make sense? Validation is powerful. Validation says, I can't imagine how hard this must be for you. I can't imagine how frustrated you must feel because of what happened today. And when you validate, a child is feeling seen and heard and felt. And that's so powerful as we raise our children today. To feel seen and heard and felt, and to know that it was the behavior that threw us. It's not their personhood. It's not who they are. We love them. And that's why it's so hard as parents, because we love them so darn much, that we just don't want them to fail. So these are very important for us as the adults to understand. They're called the pear vases. And if you grew up, let me say to you that your first ACE, and ACE stands for and please feel free to take screenshots of any of these. Your first adversity was in the womb of your own mom. I'm going to ask you tonight, what was your own mother's mental and emotional health like when she was pregnant with you? Was she a single parent? Was she working several jobs? Was she living in poverty? Was she struggling in a relationship with domestic violence or physical abuse, sexual abuse? Was she feeling abandoned? Because those adversities carry stress hormones. How many of you have heard of adrenaline and cortisol? And those can cross the placenta, and those can impact the developing baby. But here again is the good news. Being aware of these is so important in this time, because the brain is resilient. The nervous system has plasticity. Does anyone know what plasticity is? Have you ever heard of neuroplasticity? Yeah. Yeah, so we used to say the brain has plasticity, and that's true, but our whole nervous system does. So every experience changes us structurally and functionally based on our experiences. So let's just do something right now. Make a peace sign and an okay sign. Hold it up. I'm going to show you neuroplasticity. You can do this with your kids tonight when you go home. Now, as quickly as you can, switch and go back and forth fast. And show everyone around you how well you're doing. And be careful, because you can flip somebody off.
This I still can't.
Yeah. So why can I do this so well? What? I do it all the time. I'm not genius at this. I mean, I literally can do this eyes closed because I do it all the time. Anything that you do, any way that you feel, any thought that you have that you keep practicing, it gets stronger. You get good at worrying. You get good at a skill. You get good at what you practice. But most people are not intentional. We're not intentional about the thoughts we think. We're not intentional about, I've been feeling so resentful over the last few weeks. What's going on here? I'm pinching off my own well-being with that negative emotion. And so it's just the awareness, it's just so critical. So many of our children also live in adverse community environments. And that gets under the skin and changes the way DNA functions. So you grow up with housing insecurity, food insecurity, violence in your neighborhood. That impacts the developing brain and body. So it's just, again, to be aware that the higher your ACE score, the higher the dose-response relationship to your physical, emotional, and physiological, emotional, and mental health outcomes. So I want to say tonight that if you are only focusing on a behavior of your child, you're missing 99% of it. It's not about their behavior. The behavior is only a signal that the nervous system is struggling. And if I cannot emphasize that enough. You know, if your kid offends you, if you feel manipulated, if you use the words like they're entitled or that was disrespectful, that's how you feel. But the behavior is a signal, an indicator to us that we need to go underneath that behavior. Or we're going to get it tomorrow, next week, next month. We're going to continue to get that same behavior because we're not getting under that behavior. And I'll share with you ways in this last part how we do that. So this is what we're talking about. And you know what the coolest thing is for parents and caregivers and the adults that sit beside children, teachers? We are a child's relational field. They are watching us. They're mirroring us a lot of times. There was like this country western song where this singer said to his little guy, like the kid was saying all these nasty words. And he's like, where did you hear that? And then it was just like, oh my God, it's from me, you know? And I mean, just that song, I don't know, I thought, what is your bedtime routine like? What are your mornings like? How do you transition with your children and your adolescents throughout the day? These are the times that I would have changed, and I would change today, and I will with Miles. You know, it's like I'm helping Sarah make routines that are predictable. We thrive on predictability. We thrive when our caregivers are emotionally available. And if you're not, be honest. If you're not, you want to say to your child, you know what, I'm so angry right now. I'm so dysregulated myself that I am going to go grab a bottle of water and take 3 deep breaths. And let's come back to this in 30 minutes or 10 minutes. But your rituals need to be predictable, and we also need structure, right? This is not loosey-goosey. Kids need to have rules and guidelines, and they need consequences. But I want to ask you a question tonight. What if you replace the word consequences with the word experiences? Think about the difference. Instead of saying, what consequences does this kid need because they broke curfew, or they just disrespected me, or they ran out of the house, I want to say, what experiences can I provide my child so that they will be motivated to make curfew? What experiences can I give my own child so that they can emotionally regulate their own nervous system before they add layers and layers of chaos and drama? What experiences can I provide my child? This is really, really critical. Thinking about, we say to teachers, what experiences can you give to this child so they don't run out of your room? What experiences can you give to the student so that they will have a desire to start their writing assignment? We talked about that today in our staff session about kids that are, because writing is hard. Writing is hard subject, and not many of this generation, you all are raising Gen Zs or Gen As. They are digital learners. These kids live in social media. And that's a trauma for many of our children. When someone doesn't like your post, when someone doesn't acknowledge your Instagram story, I'm telling you that this is hard to be a parent in this time. I want to validate all of you because there's a whole new set of adversities for our children, and they need you. They ask for love sometimes in the most unloving ways, but they need you. Okay, so this is really important. Every educator and parent needs to understand this, and this is what I started with tonight, that a regulated, calm adult can regulate a dysregulated child. But a dysregulated, angry adult can never, ever, ever regulate a dysregulated child. And you know that. I am preaching to the choir because when you've been here, like I have, all you're getting is compliance. all you're getting is a little bit of obedience. You're back at it again next week, the next day, the next month. I mean, you're doing it again. When you see over to your left, that's a prefrontal cortex that's ignited. It's calm. That's a steady adult. And over to the right, look where all the flow is. Where do you see it on the right? That little brain, that child's brain. Where are they activated? Brainstem. That's a survival response. That's a survival response. So we know kids in stress create in adults their feelings. And if we aren't trained, we mirror their behavior. And we do it every single time. The greatest gift is to check in with your own nervous system and to really think, okay, am I really ready to have a conversation with my child? I am so angry right now. And take care of your own nervous system because they're watching you. They're watching you. Our communication is always non-verbal. Non-verbal. Watch your face. Listen to your tone. Think about your posture. And really check into how you're gesturing. When we point, that cues danger to the nervous system. When you're gesturing around your heart, when you're explaining something you want from your child, and your hands are open, and you're gesturing in the chest area, that cues safety. Just your gestures, just that is so impactful. So I shared this with the kids today. They love this. So over to the left, our fourth graders, they got it. This is a brain that's ready to learn. This is a brain whose prefrontal cortex is activated and turned on. This is a brain who's ready to parent, who's ready to teach. But over here, what do you notice? Can somebody just share, what do you see in this image right here? Say it again. So that prefrontal cortex is offline. And what do you see in the red? What is the red?
That's a roof. That's running it.
Yeah, it's running it. Exactly. It is, and you know what? How many of you have had a surgery or you have had an injury where you've had inflammation? Has anyone ever had inflammation? So what does inflammation look like in your body? Describe it to me. Sweating. What else? Hot. It's heated. That area gets hot. It's red. It's swollen. We thought the brain was immune to inflammation until just a few decades ago. And we know that when our bodies produce excessive cortisol and adrenaline, there's inflammation in the brain. And what do you see? Nasty behavior. That's a sign that there is a very dysregulated child. So I shared this with the kids today. So when our amygdala is firing, it's like there's a chihuahua, and I'm sorry if you have one, but it's like it's barking and yapping and yowling in our ears, and we can't focus, we can't think straight, and we can't get to the cortex. So I wanted to share that image with you. We're going to skip this. So I want to share some things you can do at home. So in this last bit together, I want to share some things. So for you to become fluent in any language, what do you have to do?
Hear it.
Hear it, see it, and practice it. So I'm going to have you turn to the person next to you or behind you or in front of you, and I want you to guess what the language of the nervous system is. I'll give you a hint. It starts with an S. The language of our kids need to know this, and we as parents need to know this. Starts with an S.
Just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. So talk to the person next to you just for a minute. I'm going to get a sip of water. Okay, here's the second letter. You want the second letter? I got to keep you awake because we're getting E. S-E, love the guests. N, someone just said it.
It's like you talked to it today in my class about it.
Sensations. Sensations. So when we come into the world, when all of us are born, we are co-regulated in the womb. So as we come in those 9 months, when we're in the womb, we have a rhythmic, vibrational environment that soothes us every single time. We come in to the world regulated because we've lived 9 months in a vibrational, rhythmic, warm, consistent, predictable environment. But when we're born, our heads go one way and our bodies go the other way. And so what we are learning is that sensation is the language of the body. It's the language of the nervous system. And so our kids love this. If I were doing this at home, we would have a sensation word wall on our refrigerator. Every child would have a sensation word jar. Because when you can name it, you can tame it. What's shareable is bearable. And Dan Siegel has said that for years. When you can identify how you're feeling in your body before you go to sleep, you sleep better. When you can identify that you feel, and look at these words, look how different these are than feelings. How many of you are tired tonight? What color is your tired? What would it be? Gray, blue, black, brown. What shape is your tired? It's a blob? Say it again. A muddy puddle. That is a great description. And so when you think about your sensations, they really address how you're experiencing this moment. And when you can draw it, drawing and doodling and coloring and journaling are calming to the nervous system. Let your kids doodle. Let them color, let them draw, let them use any type of art. Any type of art, ceramics, clay, just building with Legos is so nourishing to the nervous system. We used to build, I'm aging myself, but even just throwing a deck of cards at them and having them build a card house. Literally just playing with building something out of your silverware drawer. These are things that just like opening up your junk drawer and just letting them build something fun. And you have to guess what it is when they're done. Those type of things are so regulating to the nervous system. Even having images in your house. How many of you have felt like that pair of boots in your life? Literally, you just feel stuck in your career, stuck in your job, stuck in life. It's hard to muck through it all. Or then we share, how many of us feel fried tonight? We just feel over it. I can't believe you're all here with me on a Tuesday night. I'm just so honored. Or you might feel hot or smooth like a marble or open like a book. But we give kids images. Let them pick out, images. They can find photos and share on their phone. That's another way that we can do it. We have kids find anchors on their phones and let them share what their anchors are. Where's a safe space for you? What colors, what textures do you love? We have them create their safe space. These are great rituals to do at home, before bed, transitioning on the weekends, and do it with them. These are my 7th graders. Look at this. This 7th grader drew, he said he was fuzzy. This was during advisory, and he's like, I can't, Dr. Lori, I can't think. My head is fuzzy. And I said, draw it. And he drew a staticky TV. This is another one, tired. Look what kids did. They really shared, what tired looks like, what colors are tired. This young girl said she was feeling heavy, hot, and trapped. I can send this to you. Christina has this. So if anybody wants, this is ANDS, and this stands for our autonomic nervous system. And you can have a pile of these at home. just a stack of them, or you could laminate one, and the kids can draw on them. If they don't want to talk to you about how they feel, let them draw on their ands. Let them take it to bed. Let them, carry it through the weekend. Ands can be their best friend. This is a 6th grade girl who she literally did not go anywhere without her ands. And she shared that her ears were burning, her head felt fuzzy when she was upset, her feet felt like lightning, she couldn't stand still, and her hands were hot. And we say to our kids, when you recognize it and name it, you can change it. So what do you need to resource yourself? We have a little guy who, he was in 3 physical fights every day in the 6th grade. This was 3 years ago. And we taught him sensations. And he began to recognize that, and these are his words. He would say, Dr. Lori, before I pop off or spaz, I hear a buzzing in my ears, and then I hear nothing. And he recognized what he was experiencing in his body before he spazzed or before he popped off. And we sent him to the gym. He went to go shoot baskets for 10 minutes. We knew he needed, that wasn't rewarding negative behavior, we were catching it. And we were replacing that energy with shooting baskets. So focused attention practices are what we can do at home with our kids. We can do them before bed, we can do them in the morning, and it's using movement and breath. Sometimes our kids need to chew on something crunchy and have a cold glass of water, ice water. That's a focused attention practice. Maybe a mint, maybe a piece of gum. That oral muscular input from gum can actually dampen down the stress response system. There are simple things. Running your hands under cold water, splashing your face with cold water activates the parasympathetic nervous system. Singing, humming, vocalization is a wonderful thing to do. One of the ways that when I was on the plane, what's today? Tuesday, Sunday, right? No, I don't know. What is today?
Tuesday.
Oh, yesterday.
Yes,
Monday. So here's one right now. You activate, it's called bilateral stimulation. So the kids love this. So hook your thumbs, hook them, put them on your chest, and your thumbs are on your clavicle right here. And this is a really nice way to find, it's called the butterfly hug. And so just start flapping your wings. And literally just take some deep breaths. You do this right now. This is the healthiest thing you've done for yourself all day. And you can flap them together. You can slow them down with your breath. Just find your own rhythm. Take 2 more deep, deep breaths right now. You can do your shoulders if that feels better. If kids just want to tap the top of your legs, just finding that nice rhythm. This is called bilateral stimulation. This is what I learned on the plane. This was so cool. I've not told any group this. So Robert Scarer is a neuroscientist and he's a neurologist. And he said, if you count and then hum, and then count and then hum, you're integrating left and right hemisphere. I did this with the kids today. Were you in there when I did that? Yep. I think this is so cool. So I made it up myself. So you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 8, 9. 10, 11, 12, 13. And literally, if you can catch them before they pop off, this is a great way to activate. The right hemisphere is about counting. The right hemisphere is about humming. The left hemisphere is counting. And when you integrate that, that dampens down the amygdala. So it actually integrates that left and right hemisphere. So lots of ways. Breathing cold water, chewing on ice. Chewing on ice, cold, just chips of ice can be very regulating to the nervous system. Drinking out of a straw is like chewing gum. It provides a neuromuscular input to the brainstem area. So these are some, gargling. Does anyone sigh in here? Do I have sighers? One of the healthiest things you can do. Sighing is so good for you. And I am a big sigher, and my husband laughs. He can hear me up in my office when I'm working from home, and he'll say, oh, she just finished something. I mean, it's just like, oh, it kind of irritates him because I do it a lot. So these are on my website. I'm going to give you my website. So write this down. It's revelationsineducation.com. Revelationsineducation.com. So REVELATIONS, revelationsineducation.com. Be careful because it could overwhelm your nervous system. There's so much in there. There are videos. These, you can download these. There are 60 of these and give these to your kids and say, as a family, we're going to order off the menu. So everybody in your family can order 3 or 4 or 5 practices, and you agree that you'll all commit to those practices a few times each week or once a day. And you do this as a family. You're getting out in front of the behavior. So we have worked really, really hard. Some of these are in the moment, but others take some time. So these are evidence-based practices. And if you can give your kids these practices when they are when they're not upset, then they can reach for these. They can start getting out in front of their own behavior, and you can join up with them. It's too late for this. Too late for this. I do want to share this with you. You guys have these handouts tonight, and this is what I did with the kids today. So this, in the column on the left, I'm sorry, I just picked yours right. Can I use that? So sorry. I'm so tired. On the left is how you're feeling and sensing when you're in your prefrontal cortex. In the middle is when your amygdala is activated. And on the right is when your brainstem is activated. You guys, the kids love this today. So what we did was they tracked their nervous system states. So I'm going to have you track right now, just really quickly, your amygdala. So when your amygdala is activated, when you are in fight flight, when you are feeling anxious or irritable or starting to get angry, when you're mobilizing energy, I want you just to jot down, where are you most of the time when your amygdala is activated? Who are you with? That's a question. Who are you with? And what did I say? Oh, what are you doing? What triggers you? So write that down right now. I want everyone, because our amygdalas get activated. This is, I want you to do what the kids did today. When your amygdala gets activated, who are you with normally? What are you doing? And where are you? So just kind of think about that. So just take a minute. And that's when your smoke alarm is going off in your brain. So, do I have any courageous people that would love to share? Because thank you. I love that. Thank you.
So I work down in Thane with the Title I kids.
Yes.
And one thing that I have realized is when the kids contradict me.
That's a
takes me
trigger
off
for
like
you.
nothing else.
And good
Usually
for
I can
you.
control it, but that is one thing that really sets me off.
And I appreciate your authenticity and your honesty about that. So one of the things that we have to think about is when we ask ourselves what grinds our gears, and that grinds you,
It does. It really does.
and they contradict you. So then we want to ask, and you don't have to answer this. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but what value do you hold that's connected to? Or what experiences have you had where maybe contradiction when you were little was like maybe there was a parent in your life
My
that,
mom said I argued from the time I could talk.
see, that's what I'm talking about. Not that, but do you know what I'm saying? Like these activators and triggers came from somewhere. And so to recognize those is really powerful because oftentimes we get triggered by the behavior in kids that we struggle with or that we've seen or experienced in our past. So it's just fascinating to really know like when that amygdala fires and then and then we think, okay, so what can I do when I get contradicted?
Honestly, just realizing that that's what irritated me, I'm fine with it after I do that.
Yeah. And that's that realization, that awareness. Anybody else want to give an amygdala moment? Anybody have? Thank you.
I get really triggered when like it's bedtime, get my kids to bed.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, we have this amount of time, and then it takes like forever. And by the end of the day, like I'm a single mom, got 4 kids, and it's like, I need 5 minutes for myself.
Oh, Lord.
I just need 5, right?
I hear that.
And it's like, can you just stop for 5 minutes so that I can like be done for 5 minutes?
Yeah.
And then I get like really triggered. Like, I just need you to stop. And I realize
Yeah.
now that it's like, because that's what my parents did. That they were
Interesting.
Like, so at the end of it, that they were like, I just need a breather.
Yeah.
And so I'm carrying that on.
And I just thank you. First of all, thank you for sharing that and thank you for really looking beneath that trigger because one of the things that was a trigger for me when my kids were little. In fact, I turned into a different person at bedtime. I'm like, I just want you to all get the hell to bed. Like if I don't have some time, I'm just going to implode. And so one of the things that I began to do was I started taking some time for myself even when they were still awake and they started watching me. I didn't wait because I was getting too activated. So, but I thank you for that. And I wasn't a single mom. I can't imagine how hard that is with 4 children. So yeah, I love that. And sharing that with your kids. Because if you share with your kids and just say, can you all help me? How could we make bedtime just a little smoother? Like, I need you. That's what I would say to my kids. I need you. Because my amygdala is firing. And brainstorm a list with them. Brainstorm with them and see what they come up with. And maybe you could all have some peace before they go to bed so they could do some things they wanted. Maybe if they wanted to read a book or if they wanted to, but bring them in. Because I just think that'll help you. Yes.
I have a question with bringing your kids in and asking them for help. Is there any damage that can be caused by like asking too much of them or putting like adult responsibilities on their shoulders?
So I love your question, first of all. And it really is, so when I think about giving them responsibility, that's not what I'm saying. When we brainstorm together, we're collaborating. So we are agreeing to meet them where they are, and they're agreeing to meet us where we are. And so it's kind of like serve and return.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because they're not super fragile and
No.
they're very resilient and they're smart.
And just, yeah,
I just worry about.
that's a great question.
I don't want to, because my kids are so smart, too smart. Which is why I'm here. I'm like, you can't kill their spirit. 'Cause they do
No.
so much, but I worry if I ask, because I'm so dysregulated the majority of the time.
Yeah.
But if I'm like, okay, I need you to help mommy, I don't want them to grow up being like, I had to take care of my mom.
And I think I love your question tonight. And I think that, again, it resides in the relationship that you have with your children, and there's a difference in parentifying a child and collaborating with a child. And so you're really modeling for them. You're not throwing responsibility on them, but just you're modeling honesty and authenticity, and you're also saying to them, it's okay to ask for help. You know, it's okay. Because we need each other. The human brain, the nervous system, is a social organ. We cannot survive without each other. It is a social organ. Yes.
Kind of along with her question, instead of, I need your help, or to say something like, okay, we got 2 teams here, me and you. Let's make 1 team.
I love that. I love that.
Or if you're really brave, okay, I'm going to be the kid, you be the parent, and then you get to see what they think of you.
Yeah, so that's a great idea though. I mean, it really is in being authentic, you know, and just really sharing how you're experiencing this. You know, our perceptions drive everything. And it's not really, you know, we carry our own traumas into relationships. We carry our own embodied experiences. We carry our ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. That's a part of life. But now that we have that awareness, there is so much room to grow. So I wanted to share this. I love this quote. I wish it were mine. It's not. I love this quote: befriend your own nervous system. Make friends with your nervous system. And don't try to fight. When you're dysregulated, don't fight it. Acknowledge it. And begin to get out in front of it a little bit. You know, this morning I was in the hotel room in Jackson before we drove down for me to be at, I don't know, I'm having a brain fart. And my phone was going off. I was getting texts from my kids. Just because they get older doesn't mean they stop needing you. So I was getting texts, and then I got a couple of very dysregulating emails from my graduate students. I mean, they were fine, but they were just distressed. And then I was planning for the day with 4th and 5th and 6th graders. So I was going over my notes, and I got dizzy. Do you know what I mean? Like, I felt myself get lightheaded. Vertigo. Has anyone ever had vertigo? And I had that once. But what I did was I stopped. And I closed my computer, sitting at that chair. And I literally took 3 or 4 deep breaths. And I'm going to end tonight with this practice that I think is so helpful. I'm telling you, I would have done this all the time. It's called tapping. Has anyone ever heard of tapping? Do you tap with your kids?
Me?
No. Have you heard of it too?
Yeah.
Do you tap?
I do myself, yeah.
So have you guys found it helpful?
Yeah, we do tapping every Tuesday night before bed.
Oh, it literally helped me this morning. I mean, I literally was able, like, I was fine after that, but I'm a worrier. So, you know, I'm dying if I have an ingrown toenail. I mean, like, I go, you know, like, I'm fatalistic. But befriending your nervous system is so empowering. It's making friends. It's recognizing what you need. So I'm going to end tonight with that. Not that. That was horrible. We've talked about, I want to share this with you. This is such a great quote, and I cut some of it off. But when emotions are high, their logic and language are low. Think about that. When emotions are high, our logic and language are low. So in a meltdown, never reason with your child. Never, like, it doesn't work, y'all. It does not work. Connect, hold space, and I want to say, take care of your own nervous system, because that's where we get the shift. Okay, so we're going to stop. I'm going to give you my contact information. I'm moving too fast for this clicker. me see. So, these are some of the things I've talked about tonight. Please take a screenshot of this. 3 deep breaths, splashing cold water on your face, text or call a trusted friend. This is for us and our kids. Take a walk outdoors. Writing a letter to yourself or drawing an image of how you feel in the moment is very powerful. Does anyone talk to yourself? Like, do you have a good talking to yourself when no one's around? I do that all the time. It's one of the healthiest things you can do. It's so good for you. Like I have a really good, like a pep talk. Tapping, which I'm going to end with, giving yourself a hand massage with lotion, one of the most regulating things you can do. Finding a smooth, finding a smooth stone, rolling it in your hands for a few seconds, listening to the birds, just focusing on a sound, placing a fan in front of you and just listening to the noise of the fan for a minute and feeling the cool air. So I'm not going to read all these, but those are some ways that we can really, at home, we can really start modeling and joining up with our students. This is on my website. These are menus, more menus. So you can choose from these. You're going to love the website. And you can print this out and you can make posters for your house. And put them in the kitchen, in the bathroom, in the kids' rooms, and let them choose what they want. There are 2 of these. So menu 1 and menu 2 for all of us. Very well researched ways of dampening down the stress response system. Oh my gosh, I could be with you for a week. So I'm going to stop there. This is my contact information. Please connect with me on social media. I use Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and what did I leave out? Twitter. Well, X. I mean, I guess it's called X now. But I share everything on social media. So I will share what I'm doing. This is my website, Revelations in Education. That's my Butler email. And I want to end with this quote tonight, and then we'll tap our way out tonight. So this is from Alice in Wonderland. I love this quote. "Who are you?" said the caterpillar. This was not an encouraging opening for a conversation. Alice replied rather shyly, I hardly know, sir, just at present. At least I know who I was when I got up this morning, but I think I must have changed several times since then." And that's what we hope. That's neuroplasticity. And that is the best, most hopeful news for us. You don't have to be who you were yesterday or this morning. And the awareness is critical. These are the books that I've written. They're all on the website. They're available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. And Michael McKnight is my good friend. We wrote 2 books together. Eyes Are Never Quiet, Listening Beneath the Behaviors of Our Most Troubled Children or Students. Michael and I wrote this one with resources. This is one of my newest books. Again, available online. Connections Over Compliance, very good for parenting, I think. And then this is my newest book, and it's QR coded, and it takes you right to the website, and it's got gorgeous images, like beautiful images, and all the templates are available to you on the website. This is coming out next year, and it's a manual that goes with intentional neuroplasticity. And it's called Body and Brain Brilliance. So I'm going to end tonight with tapping. So I'm going to explain what it is. It's very evidence-based. The research is growing. And you have points on your skin that have excessive nerve endings. They're juicy nerve endings. And when you tap on those, it actually stimulates pathways to the limbic system. And they're finding that when you're tapping on these pathways, and you don't even have to, there's a script. For those of you who tap, we don't use the script. We just use movement and breath. We tap and we breathe together. And so you don't have to go in any order. I like to do this before I go to bed. 2 or 3 rounds feels nice. You can stay on one point. You don't have to do the entire protocol. If it feels good on your chin, if it feels good on your chest, you can stay there. We usually say 10 to 15 taps in each of those points, and then taking some deep breaths along with that. Okay, so you ready? Sit up nice and tall and cross your legs, and we'll go through a round of that. And again, there's lots. It's called EFT, Emotional Freedom Techniques. You can Google it, and it can show you where the meridian points. But there are 9. So this is the karate chop. So let's just nice firm pat on the outside of your hand. Take a nice deep breath. We'll go to the other side. And we'll take a nice, deep breath here. And then we're going to go to where your eyebrow bones meet. So I just feel like tapping right here 10 to 15 times, a nice deep breath. And on your temples. And this feels really nice here. Maybe a couple of deep breaths right here. And under our eyes. Some people really like this because you get sinusy. So this is a nice one. Couple of nice deep breaths right here. And then on your top lip. So it's right underneath your nose. Nice deep breath. And where your chin indents. And on your clavicle, just a nice pat. And then the last one is on the crown of your head. Take off my glasses. And then just all over the crown. Take a nice deep breath here. And just take a nice deep breath and stretch. And maybe just feel like you're the tension, maybe yawn. They're contagious. Rotate your neck. Finish your tapping before you go to bed tonight. I think it takes 2 or 3 nice rounds. Just kind of pull your shoulders back. And I have loved being with you. I'm reading you all non-verbally, and we're done. It's time. So thank you. It's just been so, I'm privileged to get to speak to parents like this tonight. So stay connected to me, stay connected on social media, and Christine and I are always in contact, so we'll stay connected. So thank you all for a wonderful, wonderful evening. Go home and enjoy. I better take this out of my pocket now, or I don't want to walk out.